Hey guys, I must be mad to take this subject on. This is going to be a really delicate one. I want to do my best not to offend anybody, but I don't know how we're going to go. We'll see. Spending a lot of time on YouTube and on the internet in general, I frequently come across a situation where some person will leave a comment like, wow, that's really amazing. Sometimes on my videos too. Wow, that's really amazing. We don't have that in America. Or something similar to that, you know, some innocent comment, you know, that's really amazing. We don't have that in America. And someone else will kick the shit out of them. Someone else will really give them a hard time. Oh, you Americans, rah, 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 and abuse the hell out of them, you know, for no apparent reason, totally unprovoked. Obviously, the person that attacks them's, you know, really hates Americans, you know. And the other comment that I frequently come across is an American reaction to that, where they say, what's all this hating on Americans? And it seems to be more of it recently. It seems to be growing. What's all this hating on Americans? What's all this hating on Americans? And I'll start by saying I have empathy with the people this is happening to, the people that are getting attacked, because when I'm logged onto YouTube on my Japan channel username, sometimes I'll watch a documentary or something and leave a comment on a video, and I get the same thing. So I'll leave a comment and say, you know, wow, that was a great movie, I really enjoyed that, or that was a great documentary, or just leave some innocent comment, you know, and cop a whole heap of racial abuse, you know, the sort of racial insults that people can use for Japanese people, and I'll just get bombarded by just some lunatic bombarding me with racial abuse, or some random abuse about World War II, or, you know, Pearl Harbor, or some insanity like that, because they see my username, the Japan channel, and just hit me with a whole heap of racial or, you know, ignorant abuse. So I understand what it feels like when that happens. You know, it's like, what started that? So why? You know, people are saying, why all this hatred for Americans? Why all this, you know? Well, yeah, why? And I've been wanting to make a video about this a long time, but I really hesitated to. I came close to making it once before because I got labelled as un-American a few times. You know, he's un-American, he's anti-American, that's what they said. He's anti-American, you know? And it was because I'd made a video. A lot of people were asking me about the American bases on Okinawa and American bases in Japan, and, you know, what do you think? Should they stay or should they go? And I got a lot of questions, so I answered the question. You know, I think, you know, Japan should take control of those bases and have control of those bases and their military and look after themselves. That's all I said. A few other things. I did say a few other things. You can see the video for yourself. It's still on my Japan channel. But I got a whole heap of abuse for that, and I got called anti-American. Now, I've made videos before about talking about Japan critically. You guys have probably seen them. I've made 1,000 videos about how wonderful Japan is, but I have made a few videos about some negative stuff about Japan. I've also made negative comments about Australia. Recently I said that Australians are good people, but more than half of them do a lot of bad stuff, you know, and you know, I've made all sorts of comments about negative comments about Japan, negative comments about Australia. It's natural. No country is perfect. So if you're going to be talking about a country, it's inevitable that there'll be negative stuff and positive stuff. It's just the way it is, you know. But I've never been labelled anti-Japanese, and I've never been labelled anti-Australian. But if I made a comment suggesting that the American bases should leave Japan, I got labelled as anti-American. I actually made another video about which is the best country in the world, and I found all these statistics on the internet about GDP and just statistics, you know, about different things, aspects of life, quality of life, and cost of living and quality of life, and all these statistics, and I quoted them in this video. So here's the statistics, you know, that, you know, New Zealand rated really highly, Ireland rated really highly, all these different countries were the highest rating in different things, quality of life or safety or whatever, you know. Never even mentioned America, except where it appeared in the lists, but never even mentioned America. The video wasn't about America. It was basically provoking people to talk about, you know, whether you can actually label countries the best in the world, whether that's actually important, and to get some discussion going on that topic. Never mentioned America, and because of that video I got labelled as anti-American. So my point is that when that all happened, I was tempted to make this video, and then seeing all this other stuff on the internet with people being anti-American, I've been tempted, making anti-American comments, I've been tempted to make this video. But I wanted to avoid it because I didn't think there was a safe way to do it without copping lots of abuse. And I don't particularly enjoy copping lots of abuse, so I avoided it. But it's come up again the last couple of days. It's come up again in a couple of videos. A couple of people have unprovokedly attacked some Americans, and these people, the American people, have been saying, why are we getting attacked? So I think, I don't know, guys. I have given this a lot of thought. I don't really know, but just some observations. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. You know, I'm sure you guys have got some opinions on it. I think probably one of the biggest problems is has been the foreign relations thing, is the international stuff. So a lot of the stuff America's done over the last, 50 years. In other people's countries and so on, and they've done a lot of good, I know, but there's also a lot of people that aren't happy about the American military being in other people's countries and things like that, and CIA getting involved in other people's politics, and we all know this is the case, don't we? There's a lot of people unhappy with this stuff, so I think that's got a lot of people offside. That's got a lot of the loonies offside. They're the people running around with bombs strapped to them. That's the stuff they're unhappy about, I think. But as for the YouTubers, that's the extremists running around with bombs attached to them and shooting guns at Americans and stuff like that. That's the big picture, the international scene. There's also, I'm sure, there's just some Joe Publics on YouTube that don't like Americans for the same reason. I've heard all that too. I've seen videos made about that, and I've seen people talking about that on the internet before. America should get out of other people's countries, and a lot of people have opinions on that as well. So yeah, I'm sure the international relations thing plays a part in it. I think one of the other problems is, guys, and I remember I made a video a long time ago about fart bullies. Some of you might have seen it. It wasn't real popular, but I think the other problem is that same as with every country, usually the assholes in a country are the loudest. And I've seen this on YouTube too, where I'll make a video, and on the video, if it's a bit controversial, on the video I'll get attacked by people. And I've got to say, less than 40% of my subscribers are American, but more than at least 90% of the abuse I get is from Americans. So I think what that comes from maybe is that American people are very vocal about their opinions, which is good, but not terribly diplomatic about expressing them. And I think too, the same as with every country, is usually the assholes are the loudest. And what I've seen with that is that I'll get a whole heap of abuse on a video, but then I'll get private messages, and on YouTube people can send private messages, and I'll get private messages from people saying, look, I agree with you, but I didn't want to leave a comment because I didn't want to get abused. And that happens a lot. It's rattling in here, sorry. And that actually happens quite a lot, that people send me a private message and say I didn't want to leave a comment because I didn't want to get abused, which is and I suspect, from what I've seen of what actually happens domestically in America with politics and that sort of stuff too, I suspect that that's probably quite a common event in America. I've seen that. I mean, that might be a lot to do with what happens with the politics there as well. Is that the craziest people and the most extreme people and the most aggressive and rude people are the loudest. And it seems to me that the nicest people are the quietest. And it's probably the same in most countries, I guess. It's probably the same in most countries, but I guess because America has a bigger profile, like politically and technologically, here we are talking to each other on YouTube, which is, I actually deal with YouTube Japan, but basically YouTube's an American company, isn't it? So I guess the profile that America has in the world means that you guys are standing out. I guess if you come from some small country somewhere, you wouldn't be faced with the same profile. I guess that's what happens. It's the same as somewhere like YouTube. The higher your profile is on YouTube, the more, the more attack you get, I guess. You can see that with the front page YouTubers, the people on the front page of YouTube that make a video and 1 million people watch it. I guess those people get subject to abuse and rudeness. Even a little channel like mine, I definitely get 1 million views a month on my Japan videos, and unfortunately one side effect of the profile increasing has been that I get more abuse than I used to, from the rude people. And I guess that's what happens to Americans, is that you guys have a fairly high profile around the world, through technology and through politics, and as a result that attracts all sorts of attention, and some of it's negative, I guess. So yeah, I really feel for you guys. I can, as I said about the Japan channel name thing, I can relate to how that must feel. I have American friends. I went to high school. One of my best friends at high school was an American dude, and he ended up being school captain. And after he left school, he went back to America, and then he's now an American ambassador in Europe. So I'm not going to mention his name. He's going to stay anonymous, but he's an American ambassador in Europe. So I've got American friends in Japan as well. So I've got American friends, and they're great people. And a lot of my subscribers that I've had good relationships with over a couple of years, with watching the videos and leaving nice comments and stuff. And some of the most inspired, interesting comments that my videos receive are from American people. So, the good Americans, I think the sad thing is that the good Americans and the nice Americans and the Americans that do wonderful things for the world and contribute great stuff to the world and do good things, unfortunately just get drowned out a little bit by the assholes. And then you guys have to, you good guys have to pay the price for that. So it's pretty sad. So for the Americans, I don't know, what can you do? My advice would be, maybe keep this in the back of your mind, that it's because the country's got a high profile, and that the abuse that you're getting from some people isn't necessarily directed at you personally. It's just getting directed at your country, which must feel terrible. I can imagine it must feel terrible. But those people that are giving you the abuse aren't terribly intelligent people anyway, because they're misdirecting it. If you're some innocent person on the internet and you're copying abuse from somebody because you're American, they're not really well informed people. It's the same as the abuse I get from people just because I've got a channel name that says the Japan channel. They're not real switched on people, are they? Look at me. So they're just worth ignoring. To the people to the rest of us, I think we just need to keep this in mind, that whatever our feelings are about the international politics from America, what the American government does. And the problem is that, it's a lot of Americans, I've heard a lot of Americans say, hey, look, what my government does has got nothing to do with me. The problem is you can't do that, because if your government does something bad, people put it on the same as with Japan, right? The Japanese government drag them into a war, and the Japanese people still get abused for it. It's what happens. It's what happens. German people tell you the same thing. German people still get abuse and ridicule from some people around the world, ignorant people, because of what their government did. So you can't really say, my government did that, it wasn't me, because it's not the way it works, is it? You sort of have to take a bit of flack for what your government does. It's just the way the system works, particularly when you're a big democracy. People say, well, you're a democracy, you got to take responsibility for your government. So yeah, for the American people, I imagine it's tough, and for the rest of us, I think we just have to remember that poor innocent American person that we're talking to, or on the internet or face to face, isn't necessarily responsible for the bad behaviour and the rudeness and the aggression and so on of a minority that are behaving badly and being rude and ignorant and aggressive and nasty to people on the internet and around the world. It's only a small percentage that are doing that. So, but I think too, guys, there's a certain amount of oversensitivity. I remember seeing a Phil Donahue show about 100 years ago, and he had some people on from England and Australia and somewhere else. And the topic for the day was what's wrong with America, and the Australian guy was talking about the Australian healthcare system. Interestingly, this is like 30 years ago, probably 20 years ago, and he was talking about the Australian healthcare system, and he was saying that it was better than the American one. Now, he was asked to go on that show and say, you know, what was the topic was, what's wrong with America? And he was really diplomatic. He was being careful because there was a big audience there, you know, a big live audience. And he was being really diplomatic. And the English guy was asked, and the English guy had something else that in the UK. And I think, I suspect this is why these guys were invited, was that the Phil Donahue people knew that, you know, Australian healthcare system was better than the American one. Something in England, I can't remember what it was. It might have been pensions and stuff. Unemployment benefits and things was better in the UK or something. So they got these guys on and said to them, what's wrong with America, and what should we do differently? And these guys went, well, I think America's a wonderful place, but, you know, I think maybe they could do this or this or this. And they got the shit abused out of them. The audience tore them apart, just stood up and abused them. And if you don't like it, you should go away, and you shouldn't be here, and you shouldn't come here and tell us what we should do. They were asked to. They were asked to go there and talk about it, you know. And I think the reason I'm saying this is I've seen this before. If you dare to make a comment about America, you can talk for 20 minutes about what a great country America is. If you say one critical thing about America, you'll get abused. You'll get torn a new one by somebody threatening to kill you, you know. So threatening to kill you. I made a video about the Cove movie saying that I didn't think it was going to make any difference, and I had some American people, just once again that crazy minority, threatening to kill me and rape my family and, you know, kill my kids, and it was insane. It was absolutely insane. Stalking me, making other accounts on YouTube to stalk me and attack me, and, you know, eventually had to report them to YouTube, and YouTube had to do the, you know, YouTube Safety Center thing and back them all and cut them all off and block them all and cut them all out because they kept attacking me. Just insane it was. I actually said, I don't think the Japanese people should eat dolphins, but I don't think that movie will work. Yeah, the video is still on YouTube. You can see it for yourself. And I got death threats. We're going to kill your children. We're going to rape your wife. We're going to kill your children, because I said I didn't like a movie. And I think, you know, this is one thing that I can understand why people get a bit sensitive to criticism about their country, but I think when you got a high profile, you know, as long as, you know, I don't like rudeness. I think attacking people and being insulting is not acceptable. That's not discussion. If someone is abusing you and using abusive and insulting words, that's not acceptable. But if someone diplomatically tries to say something or suggest something, I think they're entitled to their free speech, aren't they? You know, there's a difference between being insulting and rude and just expressing an opinion. So the people that gently express an opinion about America, just, you know, I would recommend just letting them do it without you know, sort of attacking them for it or being too abusive. If they're being rude and abusive, then screw them. You know, you know, I totally accept. You know, my attitude about that on my channels is if people have an opinion on a topic and it's totally different from mine, and they say I totally disagree with what you said, I think this, and they say the exact opposite of what I said, fabulous. But someone starts with, you know, you're ignorant or you're an idiot, or that's as much as I read. I don't read the rest. If their comment starts with you're ignorant, you don't know what you're talking about, you're an idiot, if anything like that in a comment, that's as far as I read. I delete it and I block them. And, you know, that's fair enough. So, you know, anybody that's abusing Americans or insulting America or being rude and aggressive, screw them. You know, but if they're just expressing an opinion, you know, look, I don't think you guys should be in Iraq, I don't think you guys should be in Afghanistan, or I don't think you guys should be in Okinawa. You know, we claim to support free speech, and you know, we claim to be democratic and support free speech. Then if someone has an opinion like that we disagree with, you know, let's let them express it, and be grateful that we live in a country or countries where we can do that, you know. So anyway, I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Why is it that Americans cop so much flack, and what can they do about it, you know? So anyway, hope you found that interesting. More videos coming soon.